This is the City of Waupaca, first Tuesday of the month, City Council meeting.
Council meeting tonight. We actually have a public hearing that we need to take care of ahead of time. This is a public hearing dealing with an ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Public Works to create Chapter 8.12, wireless telecommunications facilities in the right-of-way. And I think actually, is it you, Jared, or is it Justin that's taking that?
Ken, should I start it?
It's a team effort, Justin. I'm
Okay.
happy to assist.
So this is just a public hearing, so all we need is a description of what's going on. and
Okay.
stuff. Yep.
I'll kick it off. It's a new ordinance to deal with small cell positions within the city, also known as 5G. So it's an ordinance that will set up the regulations on when those companies come here and put in the request, what they can and can't do. Jared got the draft ordinance together through the League of Municipalities. So it's been used, or similar ordinance has been used by many other cities throughout the state. And so we have our iteration of it to be adopted in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you. Jared, anything to add to that?
Nope, that sums it up. Good job.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time then, we will take testimony in favor of this amendment to this ordinance. Anybody that'd like to give testimony in favor, step up to the podium and give your name and address for the record. Limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Anybody that would like to give testimony in favor? Anybody like to give testimony in opposition? Any testimony in opposition? All right, I'll declare this hearing closed at 6:03 p.m. Next up, we have our regular city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, and it's 6:03 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order by starting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then we'll ask Sandy to read our open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thanks, Sandy. And would you take roll of the council also?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Colin Dykstra.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Henry Velliker.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Dimitri Martin.
Here.
Mary Fair.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Thanks, Sandy. And you want to start the introduction of the staff, too?
Sure. I'm Sandy Stibbs, City Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Eric, I know you're new to this.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Jared Ranky, Community and Economic Development.
Stephanie Reif, Assistant Finance Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Brian Hosell, Chief of Police.
Thank you. Josh is in the back room running our cameras, and then Aaron just notified us that Kathy Kaza, our Finance Director, is also online with us tonight. Any other introductions? Just a reminder to council staff, anybody in the room here, to make sure you put your cell phones, turn them off, or put them to silent for us. Next up is the consent agenda. This is, there's some items on here that we take with one motion unless a council member would like to see one of those items moved to the regular agenda. And if we did move it to the regular agenda, we would vote on that with one motion for that item. Anybody would like to see anything moved? Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
Move to approve as printed.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Farrow, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Regular agenda. What you have on your handout that you received online is the order that we're going to work in tonight. There are no additions, no subtractions from that. So again, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Chestnut, that we approve the regular agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under non-agenda items and announcements, we have some certificates of appreciation. The first one we have is a certificate of appreciation and a gift certificate to Sue Abrahamson for her 25 years of service to the city. And so I know Sue is in the audience. Sue, you want to come on up here?
That's your last council meeting, is it?
I thought I was done with these council meetings, but I'm not.
I'm going to give you a gift certificate.
Oh, I'll be very nice.
Quit complaining. All right, so this is just a certificate of appreciation for Sue Abrahamson for her 25 years in the city of Waupaca from, started on August 22nd of 1997 till the present. So, Sue, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Thanks.
There you go, Sue.
Mayor, just so you know, and just so council knows, we're working through a couple technical issues with the mouse on here. So if you don't see something on the screen, that's why. And if I'm futzing around with stuff, that is also why.
You want me to call Josh?
We're texting.
All right, next up, we have a presentation of a certificate of appreciation to Molly Ranky for her 5 years of service to the city. She also works in the library, and she's not here. So, Sue, you want to take this for her? All right. Oh, that's
Got
her.
the desk today.
Oh.
Thank you.
Seniority gets you down here, right?
That's right, 25 years.
It's only been 25 years? Oh, I mean, it's only, yeah.
Seems like just yesterday, so.
Next, one more. We have a presentation of a certificate of appreciation to Catherine Rush for 5 years of service to the city. She works in the senior center. So, Lori, we'll get this to you, and if you could give that to her, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Tell her thank you. I did, next up is actually public input, but I did want to just introduce, we have two new department heads here tonight for the first time, and I know that, Council, you have all met them, but I don't think the people that are watching tonight, those millions of people that are watching us on Win TV tonight, have met them. So I just want to introduce them and give them the opportunity to just say hi. So I'll start here. Eric Bailey is our new library director. Actually, his first day was yesterday. So, Eric. Go.
Good to be here.
Thanks, Eric. And then also Laura Colbert. You guys all met her, I think, about a month ago. She is now our director of Parks and Recreation. Laura, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we have public input. This is for non-agenda items. If there's anybody that'd like to give public input, please step up to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jim Nygaard, E1449 County Road Q, Scandinavia. And this is my wife, Nancy. And we would just like to thank the council and the city staff for all the help and assistance they've been on our major remodel project at 114 North Main. As you probably all know, the brick was beyond saving. It was not safe. And we didn't want to have anybody get hurt. And so our building is not going to look identical to what it was before we started. But Nancy is our architect, and she does have an architect degree, and working with Tom Hoffman, and a few delays in some of the materials we need. But I just want to thank you all for your patience and understanding and your help. Thank you, city staff. Jane has been a good help too. She really has, and we appreciate her advice and her direction, and we hope our neighbors continue to be patient with us till this is done. And I think we're over the hump now. The demo part is done, and we're putting it back together. Thank you.
Jim, Nancy, thank you very much for coming tonight. Appreciate the good comments. We've only heard good comments about what you're doing to your building too, so we appreciate that. Anybody else that would like to give public input tonight?
Is it appropriate for
Yes.
council, Mayor?
Absolutely, Henry.
I had occasion to be sitting on my back porch, screen porch, on Friday evening. It's a lovely evening, and the city band concert was going. And it was announced that Mark Krishak, it was his last performance. 39 years, maybe, or 37. Well, it's a lot. And I hope that we give him some recognition for that. I don't know how we do that. But if Mark's listening, which I doubt he is, thank you for all your dedication. He's been just a pleasure to work with through the years. So just a note.
Yeah, Henry, thank you. We'll work on something, and hopefully we can get it for the next council meeting. Maybe we can even get Mark to show up. That would be great. Yeah, he's done a great job for us. I hope whoever takes his place continues what a great asset we have had over those years. Anybody else? Public input. All right, let's go on to unfinished business. We have ordinance number 14-2022. This is an ordinance amending 17.102 of the zoning district map as allowed under 17.7. This is the second reading of this. So, Jarrett, you want to just tell us what's going on, and we'll be looking for a motion later on this.
Of course. So this one starts on page 24 of your packet. This is another cleanup of the River North site, or area. As we are taking a look at our potential neighborhood development, we're looking to start out there. I was realized a lot of these businesses were improperly zoned, and thus could affect them moving forward. So, city staff felt it necessary, as we were going through zoning changes and possibly change this on them, which again, unfortunate to them if they came forward and they had issues. So we wanted to reach out to all of them, educate them on, what the situation was, ask for their permission, which we gained from each of these property owners being rezoned. And then the city was moving forward with the initiative to rezone them so that they are properly zoned. So this one involves 4 properties: Fox Valley Technical College, Carousel Gymnastics, Mobility for Vets, and then a multi-tenant building on the corner of Royalton and in South Industrial. 3 of them are being zoned to B4. 1 of them is being zoned to B3 to match our future land use map. Happy to take any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions on this? Again, as I said before, this is the second reading, so staff is recommending that we approve this ordinance, 14-2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Peterson, that we approve or adopt ordinance number 14-2022. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Bellicker,
Aye.
and Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Jared. New business. We have a request from Mike Stroik for H.H. Hinder Brewing Company to expand his outdoor service area for Hinderfest Festival on Saturday, September 10th, 2022, and it's going to run from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. I know Mike is in the audience tonight. Who's the staff person on this? Any?
That'd be Jared.
Jared, you want to take this?
Yeah, so Mike is looking for approval. I believe he has done this in years past. He is looking to extend his premise by placing a tent out in front, putting up a fenced area so that people are able to meander and be out in that area without overflowing outside of the premise. And I've heard nothing but good things about the event, so happy to take any questions, or I direct any questions to Mike, as he could probably better answer them.
Mike, have any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, just a couple things I didn't include in the letter. We will have an auxiliary sheriff on duty for the day, and we also do our two gates are checkpoints, and we do wristbands. And actually, the outside music is done by 8 o'clock. So there'll still be people mulling around outside, but it'll be quiet early.
All right.
But not too quiet too early, I hope.
All right. Thanks. Anybody, any questions? Chief, you've had a chance to take a look at this.
I have in the past. I think from last year, we didn't have any parking in front of the business out in the road.
No. You know what? I don't think most people know you can park on Churchill. And personally, I wouldn't park on Churchill. So nobody's ever tried to, which I'm good with.
So the only request that we had is just that there'd be no parking from Royalton Street up just past their building there. That we'll put out signs for that.
You'll put out signs for
We'll put out signs for that. Okay. We'll get them. The ones that we utilize for 4th of July and the triathlon. That way we don't have to worry about somebody walking out in between a car and getting struck.
I agree with that. And while you're on that, if you want to do 4th of July out by us every other year, that's fine too. It's got the signs for it.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking the wrong people.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Anybody like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Chestnut, that we approve the request from Mike Stroik to expand his outdoor service for the Hinderfest Festival on Saturday, September 10th. Any further discussion? Voice vote here. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, Mike, good luck to you.
Thank you all.
All right, we have the City Hall Library front lawn plan, and or as we call it, the T-Mobile plan here. But I think Aaron is going to start this.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Smith. So as you can see in your packet, starting on page 118, Greg Groman, our grant writer, put together and helped coordinate conversations around what this effort would look like. A lot of departments were actually involved in this, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about what we could use this for. Really, the intent was we wanted to activate that front lawn space, make it more of a gathering, placemaking type space. And you can see here on page 118 some of the budgeted items to do that. Furmob tables and chairs. Furmob's the brand that we would use, and you can see in this page 119 some examples of what they look like. If you've ever been on Monona, the Union in Madison, it kind of resembles some of that color, that pop. kind of from a design standpoint, it's a comparison we talked about a lot when we were talking through this. So we have $20,000 budgeted for tables and chairs. They're movable. Also, this piece on Figure 2, Waupaca Interactive Gateway, this is actually pulled from a plan that was done, the wayfinding plan. So it's kind of neat to be able to initiate something that was done from one of our planning efforts. And there's a partnership potentially with the Foundry on creating a structure that looks somewhat like this. One of the things we talked about when creating this and putting it on the front lawn, we wanted to incorporate our branding, and we also wanted to incorporate some sort of like an Instagrammable moment or something people would want to go take pictures by. Actually, the design for this and the height off of the lawn, the middle W there could be used as a seat almost for people to sit in while doing that. The thought would be to put that out, push it towards the corner of Main Street and Fulton Street intersection in that area out there. Library to go, this is something that Sue actually had seen in a lot of different libraries and has been looking for a way to implement this for several months. Saw this as an opportunity to do that. So it's a kind of a portable activity station that could be used on the front lawn, but also could be taken to different events, the Halloween on Main, potentially different events in different parks or park activities. So there could be some collaboration there. I believe $5,000 is budgeted for that. Bandstand speakers, this is something that Josh felt like was a need and would be a good addition with our other speaker system on the new poles on Main Street. And with some events happening there, this would be a good addition for that. Seasonal lighting, you can see a little bit of a description. Some of our seasonal lighting has been worn down, is in need of replacement. Not only the stuff that we've been used to having, but some of the things that have gone on the winter flowers and the plantings in there, adding to that. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to do that without taxpayer dollars. Let's see here. And then we have $2,500 left in a reserve. And I can tell you, we've got a couple of quotes already on some of these things, and some of them come in under budget, so that reserve may in fact be a little more than that at the end. But those, we wanted to give council an idea of what our thoughts were and our conversations through many conversations with different departments on what the front lawn could look like as a result of this $50,000, and wanted to ask for approval for that plan. Justin, you've been involved in these quite a bit. Anything you want to add to that, or I know Sue, you as well? Jared?
Okay, I will.
Oh, jeez. Don't ask her twice.
Hey.
What?
So my idea of this, and I think we've talked a lot about it, is that if we get the nod from council tonight, we can order this furniture and actually have it out by Labor Day, so we can get some use of it already this fall for our events that are on the front lawn. So we really think that being able to, the lawn is really looking great and it's coming in nicely. The irrigation system has made it a very attractive place to hang out. Lots of people are having lunch at the picnic table that's already there. So the goal is that with your nod tonight, we could be able to at least order that furniture and get that in place by Labor Day.
Thank you, Sue. One last thing I want to say is one thing that we wanted to keep intact was the flexibility of the space. Those movable tables and chairs can be moved all the time. So really the space remains wide open and can remain wide open when those are not there. The only permanent piece is that the Waupaca Gateway piece. And that's really pushed towards one corner. So I think we've remained flexible in that space. So, any questions?
Henry, go ahead.
Storage of the furniture, is it adequate under the bandstand, or do you have another place for it?
Justin, do you want to speak to that? I know you and Russ have been
It can't
involved
fit
in
under the bandstand. So there would be, so it'd be out there during the warm season, spring, summer, fall. In the winter, we would store it either here in this basement or we'd find another building. So
All of them are stackable. We did talk about that to make sure it conserves as much space as possible to store it.
Go ahead, Paul.
Is there any concern about the furniture growing legs and walking away? I know chairs have legs, but
yeah, yes.
So do tables.
Yeah, that's something we talked about at length too. I think our thought was actually to not spend this full $20,000 right away, and maybe get 4 to 5 sets of tables and chairs, have it out there, see how it looks, and go from there. I think we recognize that could happen. We have good camera coverage in the area, but we didn't want to use that as a reason not to give it a shot.
can they at least be identified with stickers or something as our property?
Yes, I'm sure we can do something like that.
Yeah.
A while ago, there was a talk, I think it was from the library, about an electronic sign out front. Is that part of this, or can it be, or is that a library-only thing?
That's a fantastic question, Scott. We talked about electronic sign, like reader boards like you're used to seeing. Yeah. The cost of those are pretty expensive. Then we talked about the effectiveness of using that as a marketing piece, and we felt like there was much more cost-effective ways to market programs and such. We also talked about the fit of an electronic reader board in the downtown, kind of a more historic feeling area. And when we had all those conversations, we went away from that. We did go to another, more of like a pedestrian electronic reader board sign. And we were going down that path for a while, and then we found out as we sat through demos, it did not have the capability. It had annual maintenance costs, and it wasn't a fit for those reasons. So we went away from it.
Dave, go ahead.
Not so much directly to this concept here, but I was at that band concert that Henry referenced earlier, and one of Mr. Krishek's closing remarks said he would like to see the bandstand have a couple jut-outs somewhere put on it so they could get more bandwidth. It's too crowded. And I know we talked at the last meeting with the arts people about putting a piano up there too. And limited space now. I think we're going to have a little traffic jam, so maybe some leftover money could help with a jut out at some point. At least put it in your mind, that's all it's for.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Colin.
In regards to the security and that sort of thing, in some instances, I've seen signs stating, I walked out after our last meeting actually and noticed the video and the recordings that the city has basically on the City Hall building, but a sign that says, hey, you're being surveilled or whatever. You're under, don't walk away with this because it's on video, basically is what I'm saying. A sign to that effect might be a good use of this sort of funding.
I think that's a good comment. I think we did have that conversation, and we talked about that being a good idea as well. I guess we didn't specifically build it in here, but I think it's something we could easily do.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you're okay with this plan, you would be approving the plan. Remember, and again, I think we need to just have one more plug to T-Mobile. This actually came from a T-Mobile hometown grant that's going to be paying for this entire amount. It was $50,000, right? It was the total amount of the grant. So it's a great grant to get. All right, anybody would like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Peterson, that we approve the proposal for the City Hall Library front lawn plan as presented in the amount of $48,500. Any discussion?
I just have to say I really like the W. That is a really neat aspect.
Better than an oversized chair? Sorry. Okay. Anybody else? Sandy will call the roll.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagen.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Yes.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
And Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you for that. We'll Get moving on that. Next up, we have first reading of an ordinance. This is ordinance number 17-2022. It's amending Chapter 8 of the City of Waupaca Public Works Ordinance. Looks like this is another team one here, Jarrett and Justin.
Well, I can take it from here. So Justin gave a brief overview during our public hearing on this. So just to reiterate what he said, so this is something that the state does regulate, that we are somewhat hand-tied. If we didn't put this ordinance in place, they would just be following whatever the state has in place. So really as staff, we wanted to make sure we had something in place to protect our residents, protect our community, make sure that we are putting in proper requirements and restrictions that coincide with what we want to see in our community. So fortunately enough, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities did send off a draft ordinance to kind of go off of. They offered quite a bit of variation that you could switch out and change terms or offer different standards for aesthetics, things like that. Of course, you want to protect the community, but you also want to allow the community to progress and have that type of broadband, as we are continually going more digital. So it's something, as staff, we did sit down, myself, Justin, and Josh, kind of went over some of the requirements, what we thought, and put it into this longer ordinance that we hope to adopt, and so then we have it in place when a carrier comes forward and does propose this, so we are prepared. So happy to take any questions, and I'm sure Justin is too.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Colin.
Could you highlight the areas that you differ from what the league had sent out?
I certainly could. There's quite a bit. So,
and if that's too time consuming, just the reasoning behind what you wanted to add to our city's ordinance.
Yeah. So, in a lot of the sections, and really, the sections you're going to be looking at where we changed, it would be dealing with the general standards section, section 7.
Starts on 127.
127.
Yep.
So that's really where it starts, and that whole section has kind of been somewhat catered to what we felt was appropriate for our community. When picking through, they had just different language on how you could state something, which may make it not so restrictive or even more restrictive. We tried to do moderate for pretty much everything. A couple of the other things, we wanted to make sure we hit that. If it's an underground area, that it stays underground, that they try to match the current poles that are out there, that they keep the poles under a certain height, just really trying to match what we have out there. So it's not like we're really varying and suddenly all these items stick out like a sore thumb. Just making sure they look nice in our community, and, talking with a carrier that actually had expressed interest in this, doing this in our community. They said a lot of the times they do really try to follow this. They understand that this is important to the community, so they really try to work. So, I think that's really about it that we added, just really aesthetic items to make sure it conforms with the city and the current look.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, that was the first reading. So you'll see that at our next council meeting, which is on the 16th. All right, next up, we have a request to use the South Park donor funds that have been left over, and Aaron's going to explain. You do have something in your packet, which I'm sure he's going to talk about here.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. That memo in your packet starts on page 137, council members. And as everyone knows, Andrew Whitman, who's no longer with us, has been working on this project, the Splash Pad Playground project, for a long time within the department and with the Friends of Waupaca Parks. Through our budgeting process, we did budget $700,000 to our capital improvement plan, and that has been borrowed for already. And that is what the city said that we would commit from a tax dollar standpoint for this project. Then Andrew and his team and the Friends of Waupaca Parks were tasked with going to fundraise the rest. That was done in private donations, in-kind donations, and through a DNR grant. You can see the breakdown of where those stand today. They did a considerable amount of fundraising. And on June 7th, the City Council saw the first part of what is 2 bid packages. So basically bid package A, which was the splash pad, the playground, and that was approved. That was about half of the budget. Bid package B was the site work, most of the construction work, the concrete, the earthwork, and then the bathroom facility that is required out there. So there's 2 bathrooms, 2 family-style bathrooms and a mechanic area that's required per code when it comes to splash pads. That is the one that came in a little higher than we anticipated, which is not a shock, seeing how things have gone the last 6+ months. So we got these bids in at the end of June, and to the Friends of Waupaca Parks credit, we kind of talked about it, and we said, okay, let's do these bids are good for 60 days. Let's do a 30-day fundraising blitz to see if we can add to what they had already gotten. And they were able to add a substantial amount. I think I put that in here. They raised an additional $45,000 in that 30 days. Both through in-kind contributions from contractors that are working on it and through cash contributions from local employers. Another piece was, and you'll see this in 2 weeks, one of the bids actually for the bathroom was astronomically high, it felt like. The price per square foot seemed out of whack, and that was our only bid for that. So you'll see we'll be rejecting that specific bid and going with an alternative. And that saves us about $100,000, which you'll see at that point. So when you add all that up, there's a couple things that weren't in the bid packages that we're finalizing that you'll also see in 2 weeks, that all those numbers will come forward on August 16th. But we're looking at approximately, in between a $90,000 and $97,000 gap. And we do have $97,000 currently in a South Park donation fund that was left over from the 2013 effort at South Park. There were future phases at that time that weren't able to be redone or to be done. Requires landowner cooperation in some instances. Whether that could ever happen or not, I'm not sure. The specific one I'm thinking of, which is a connection between Berlin Street and South Park, that is a type of project that I could see certainly being eligible for certain sort of recreational trail grants in the future. So that opportunity may exist. And this money hasn't been touched since we put it in this investment fund at the conclusion of that project. So it's sitting there as an opportunity to put towards a splash pad, which I know you read the memo too, but there actually ironically was a splash pad in the renovation plan in phase 1 of South Park. At that time, it was decided that it just wasn't the right fit with everything else that we wanted to accomplish at that time. So this is kind of an opportunity to use that money to have that amenity, which we don't have in our park system and in our city, just in a different location. I did reach out to donors, major donors from that time. I told them about this idea and the concept, and they were supportive of it. So we'd be we're asking for council's consideration and approval of the South Park donor funds to be used towards the splash pad project, splash pad playground project at Swan Park.
I would make a motion to reallocate the South Park excess funds to the splash pad at Swan Park.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Olson, that we approve of the use of the remaining balance of the South Park donor funds, which amounts to about $97,000 towards the splash pad and playground project that's at Swan Park. Any discussion? Oh, you did a great job.
I think with the donors signing off, that was a pretty critical piece, Aaron. So thank you for making that effort to square it with them.
Anybody else? Sandy will call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Of course, I wasn't a resident of Waupaca at the time that any of this happened, and you alluded to that there were projects that didn't happen that could, but this was not, I'm confirming this money wasn't set aside to do a specific project in the future. It was set aside to help the Parks and Rec in the future. Is that correct? Is that my understanding? You guys probably all know this, having been residents at that time, but
yeah, this was given. So I'm going to speak to it, and then Henry, I'm going to allow Henry to correct me if I'm off at all, because Henry dealt with this directly. But at the time, it was given towards the South Park project renovation, which was multiple phases. It got to a point where we just weren't going to do any more phases for one reason or another, and this is the excess that was then set aside for future uses to be determined by council at that time. We have called it the South Park Donor Fund still, and we haven't had a use for it in the 7+ years since.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly, that's accurate. I think we were attempting very hard to do that trail. I remember working with this out-of-town property owner, and I think part of it was we thought we could maybe make that happen, Colin, and so the money, we wanted to sit on it a little bit longer, but it's been almost 10 years now, so. Yeah,
okay.
How fast time goes.
All right, anybody else? Sandy will call the roll.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
And Mary Fair.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
I know we just voted on this, but if I'm wrong, correct me on this, but on page 137, Aaron, in your little table there, you have total in-kind donations. Those are actually cash and in-kind donations, right?
Yes.
That line should say.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
Doesn't matter, but it's just.
That is.
Okay, next up, we have electric underground easement with Wisconsin Public Service Corporation for the Swan Park splash pad. And Justin, you're going to take that one?
Yeah, I'm going to take this one, Mayor. Thank you. Just go to page 143, please. The aerial pretty much shows exactly what is described or what is being looked to get approved here. So Wisconsin Public Service is looking for an easement through Swan Park, and this is to make way for the splash pad, the future splash pad. So the building in the center there, the concession stand, has underground power that goes basically directly east, almost underneath or actually it does go underneath the Lions. What is that thing called? The shelter. Thank you. The Lions shelter. It goes directly underneath the existing playground. Since we're going to be making all these new improvements with the splash pad, it's going to be rerouted. So they're looking for a new easement to reroute brand new power, which will serve our buildings plus the future splash pad. So the agreement, or the terms of the agreement, are above, starting on 140, 141. We've done these before with Wisconsin Public Service. It gives them the right to ingress and egress to maintain their facilities. If they mess something up, such as our grass, irrigation line, the pavement, they have to fix it in kind. In return, they just have the right to maintain their facilities. Very standard, and really see no issues. And frankly, we should do this to make way to accommodate the splash pad.
All right. Thanks, Justin, for that explanation. Anybody want to make a motion to approve this?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Chestnut, that we approve the electric underground easement with Wisconsin Public Service for the Swan Park splash pad. Any discussion? Sandy, call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky, Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
I said Scott. Sorry. Sorry.
Two ayes?
Apparently. Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
and Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thanks, Justin. Next up, we have license report number 1587. This is a operator's license. You see that there's 2 names on there. We're just looking for a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Perchatsky, that we approve license report 1587. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Communications and recommendations of the mayor. Couple things I just want to bring up, and then we can get out of here. City planning meeting, planning commissioners, we have a meeting tomorrow night at 5:15. Just wanted to remind you of that. Obviously, council, you are all invited, well, public is invited too, to city planning meeting if you'd like. Next, at our next meeting, we put off picture night, as we call it, to take a picture of the council and the staff. Is next council meeting work? Anybody that we know that's not going to be here? Okay, so we'll look for another date. All right, so we'll find one. At the next council meeting, we do have a committee of the whole meeting planned. You saw that on the budget calendar. You want to just touch on that, Aaron?
Yeah, so that'll be our first of 5 budget workshops. And that'll be the capital improvement planning. Our staff has done a great job keeping that updated over the last couple months. So we'll look forward to going over that and some impacts with you right after the meeting.
Yeah, and along with that, we've been working the last couple of months with our financial advisors, Baird, mainly Aaron, but we've been meeting with them and our finance department to come up with a 5-year, not just a 5-year capital improvement plan, but also a 5-year plan or projection of where we're going as far as expenditures and revenue and so on. So something new that you're going to see this year, and I think it's going to help us quite a bit through the budget process, and not only our budget process, but with capital in the future. So look forward to presenting that to you. We're getting close to finishing that up. Expect a fairly long meeting on the 16th then with those 2 meetings, plus the agenda that night is fairly long also. So I would suggest that maybe you bring something with you to drink and eat just to get through the night. I don't know how we're going to finish that. Motion to adjourn by Hagan. Second. I'm sorry, second by Veliker, that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. We're adjourned at 6:50 p.m. Have a great night, everybody.